Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham, where Team Needham discusses everything healthcare. I'm your host, Shawn Needham, along with my wonderful wife, Janet, and we are excited to have Vince Serrato on our show today. Lene will not make it. She's busy with a patient, and that's awesome to hear. They are with New Life Recovery out of Wenatchee, and I have met Lene a few times now, and I'm super excited to share what they have to offer. So without further ado, Vince, welcome to our show.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Vince, tell us a little bit about your history, Lene's history, and the history of New Life Recovery.
Well, Lene is a nurse practitioner. She kind of specialized in wound care. She wasn't sure if she wanted to practice traditional medicine just because it seemed like the places she had worked before wanted her to prescribe, and she thought maybe there's a better way. So we kind of met with each other and we told her what we were like and what we thought about healthcare and some of the more natural approaches and stuff. So she was pretty interested in what we have going on. My background, I'm an electrician by trade, and I've always just been interested in health stuff. And also, I was prescribed a couple of medications I didn't want to be on, and I was just doing some research. I came across NAD, and I found a place in Illinois that seemed really good. So I went there, and it worked really well for me. So basically, NAD is a coenzyme that's in every cell of your body. And as you age, or say you work, you're overstressed, take substances or medications, it kind of depletes that a lot sooner than normal. So normally, by the time you're 60, you might have 12% left of your natural NAD if you've had a perfect life, no obstructions, no medications, stuff like that. So this it wears out sooner. And then if you use substances and stuff like that, you're depleted way sooner. So what we do is we give you a boost to NAD, and it helps detox for medications. It helps with anti-aging. It helps a lot with inflammation. Sorry, I kind of went a little.
No, go. Yeah. That's why we have you here, so you can tell us about New Life Recovery.
So basically, I took alprazolam and Suboxone for a period of time, and it didn't sound fun stopping. I didn't really need the medications. So when I did this research, I found the NAD, and the thing that works really well with this type of treatment is that you don't have cravings afterwards. Your withdrawal symptoms are way less. So it worked really well for me. I went to a clinic. I showed up every day. The NAD takes a long time, so I was there all day. So I was just on the drip all day, watched some TV. It was a fairly comfortable environment. And by the time I was done, I felt great. But withdrawal symptoms were very minimal. So.
Janet, what questions do you have for Vince? Vince, that was very thorough. Thank you so much. You answered most of my questions. So I'm going to see what my wife has.
So Vince, I'm guessing that it was a decision you made that you no longer needed medication, but you couldn't quite get off of it without help, is what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
Yeah, I found some really comfortable ways for the anxiety medication, especially. And my doctor, my physician at Confluence Health, just wasn't a big fan. So they're just like, that's not how we do stuff here. And then another doctor's like, hey, that would probably work. It was like a microdosing to hundreds of a milligram, so you don't really notice a taper. It would take a long time. And the other issue with that is your dopamine and serotonin receptors, like your production and all that, isn't going to be regulated for another 18 to 24 months, even after your taper. So it's like a 2-year taper, and then another 2 years till you're kind of back to normal. You're not feeling depressed or anxious and stuff like that. So then I found out about NAD, and I presented that to my doctor and stuff. And right in front of me, he typed in NAD scams. I'm like, well, of course the scam is going to pop up because you typed the word in.
Right. Yeah. He already has a preconceived notion about it. Yeah.
That might work. He's like, that's, they're selling you lies. And I was pretty thorough with my research about it. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. My insurance covered it. I narrowed it down to 2 places, and I felt really comfortable with one after speaking to the staff and the medical director and stuff. So I went with it, and didn't look back.
Yeah.
Did your doctor feel comfortable to keep prescribing the medications that you had a problem with, that you were trying to get off? I mean, it sounds like that was kind of a double-edged sword there. I mean, was he saying, yeah, let's keep doing this, or how was he going to help you with this?
He's like, the options were like, you either stay on it or we could like taper you off, but it was like really fast. And like from the research I did, it seemed a little unhealthy, real sudden. You'd have the same anxiety symptoms afterwards anyways. So, or they'd be worse actually, because after you take an anxiety med, just getting off it really fast, like those symptoms come back because you're not used to dealing with it. And then you're also depleted because you've had a foreign substance kind of, pretending to be your dopamine or regulating it that way. So like with an SSRI, if you take that away from a person, they're no longer producing it naturally. Your body recognizes those inhibitors in there, so that you're just not producing it at all. So then when you take away a medication, you're not only yanking it away, but you're not producing it for quite a while.
So tell us a little bit about New Life Recovery. What's the history? When was it founded? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So like when I was in Illinois, I had to go 5 states away to do this. And I was talking to the nursing director. He's also my nurse. And I was like, I really wish there's a place like this in Washington State. And I looked around. I found a couple of med spas that were in the area kind of, or, within an hour or so. But they mostly advertise for anti-aging only. And what I found out is the quality of NAD. Well, for one, their NAD lacked amino acids. And also the quality was about half the amount that we would typically give for this scenario. So I was like, man, I think we could do it. So before I left there, we already started looking into how we could open up a place like that in Wenatchee. And we thought it was a good location with the airport nearby. So people coming from out of town, stuff like that. It was in the center of the state. So we kind of got on it. I was there in April of 2021, I believe, May, April. So we got our business license that fall, and then we met Linnea that fall, early winter, and last January of 22, we had like a soft opening. We rented a space, and then actually we didn't have a soft opening until like March, and then we started going around May, and September we started taking insurance. We got all our credentialing done and caught up, so it's fairly new.
Yeah, so you've been doing it about a year. Can you tell us a good patient success story that you've had?
We had a really good one for depression recently. Like the person, I'll tell you some other ones too, but a gentleman just was going through a rough time, had planned on getting married. It didn't work out, and just gotten a deep depression. And just by chance, he happened to be visiting in town and had heard about this and was kind of willing to try anything. He's a little skeptical, and he didn't really do any research. He just kind of stumbled upon us. And he did 2.5 days of NAD, I'm pretty sure. And even that first day, like after talking to him at the end of the day, he's like, I feel so much better. And then he got really bad news that evening. And he came back again though. And he just kind of said, like, for one, just kind of really pulled him out of it pretty quick. And he's like, if I wasn't here, like, I don't know how I would have dealt with that bad news. He might seek some counseling or something else, or just kind of get back into his routine a little bit, his normal routine, I should say. But it worked really fast. I was a little bit surprised. Like, the stuff still amazes me every time I see someone. We also had another patient who, she was from out of town. She was doing methamphetamines. So her family brought her over here. It turned out she was also doing fentanyl. She mentioned she had done it in the past, but she didn't mention it was like the past week. And anyways, this patient felt way better afterwards, and I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. It seemed kind of rough. We had to kind of reorganize a little bit with the change in addictions and stuff. So they ended up completely getting off the meth, never did the fentanyl again, and their family's really happy with them, and grandparents and their kids and stuff. So
that's a great success story.
Yeah.
So tell us, it sounds like doses are individualized depending on addiction or depression, but tell us a little bit how it works. It's an all-day infusion and it's multiple days. How does that work?
So we kind of, just from like another doctor that we'd learned from and the clinic I went to, we'd reference them sometimes. But it's generally like a 3 to 5 day is what we recommend for people if they're just going in for like anti-aging or clear up some brain fog, stuff like that. And yes, it's an all-day infusion. So we'll do a Myers cocktail. We'll give you some glutathione start of the day. And then once those are done, we'll hook you up to the IV bag of NAD. And everyone tolerates it a little bit different. Sometimes it could, like the faster the drip is, it might cause your muscles to contract a little bit. Nothing too bad, but it could be a little, there could be some discomfort. Because some of the ladies describe it like going through labor, where it kind of like comes and then it'll go away a little bit.
Oh, wow.
If it's not like half as painful or anything, it just, it comes in waves. And
okay, yeah.
We could just turn it down and it'll take about 30 seconds and then you'll feel normal again. And we kind of, everyone, it's really weird. But yeah, it could take all day because of that. Some people might get out sooner than others.
And then they go in every day after that for a time period?
Yeah, so like I said, anti-aging, brain fog, what do you call it, inflammation, they'll go 3 to 5 days. And then if they're coming in a detox off of medication, like alcohol's pretty generally like 7 days in a row. They might need more depending on we'll go over their whole health history. So if there's other factors, even if you're not doing it currently, but if you've had like, a stretch of using a certain medication or drug, it can still factor into the formulas we pick for you. So we have 5 different proprietary formulas that we use. Like one's a blue one, one's red, one's orange, yellow, etc. And each one of these has a pretty high amount of NAD in it, but they're also combined with amino acids. So that helps target different parts of the brain that can be affected by drugs or alcohol or just medications.
I see. So Janet, what other questions do you have for Vince?
So how is it working for your antidepressant patient? Are they coming off of their antidepressants, or are they still taking it when you're giving the cocktail, or how is that looking?
We haven't had a ton, but the main doctor that kind of pioneered this in the late 80s, he was also a psychiatrist. And when he was kind of finding out about NAD a little bit more, he's actually developing like skin cells. Don't quote me on that, but he was rebuilding cells and he was using amino acids to help grow those cells. And then he combined those with NAD to help rebuild the pathways in the brain for his psychiatry patients that were depressed or had anxiety. And then he noticed that they were all coming off their meds like really easy. They didn't need them anymore. So then he started applying it to other drugs and substances. So we haven't had a ton of people just trying to get off of antidepressants. We did have a gentleman or a person that recently stopped taking Xanax, and that was really huge. And he did really well, actually. I mean, it doesn't make it super easy, but it's a lot more comfortable. They don't have to worry about seizures like you normally would just quitting cold turkey. We always keep some stuff on hand in case, that were to happen or it was a real concern, but generally it's not a concern with this type of treatment.
Well, one thing I like about your guys' treatment is that, you're actually getting them off of everything, or at least their substances. I know, like for instance, people that are addicted to opioids, OxyContin, or morphine, hydrocodone, whatever. A lot of times they'll be put on Suboxone, and the problem is they stay on that for life.
Yeah,
and I don't like that idea. It's like you're just replacing one drug for another. I mean, I get it. Maybe it's not as bad as the opioids, but still, it's just replacing another drug, in place of another. So I like what you guys do in the sense that, you get them off of these drugs and don't have to take something forever. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, that's exactly correct. I mean, Suboxone could be a stepping stone for some people, but you really don't want to be on anything if you don't have to be.
Right.
The other neat thing we have since you brought up opioids, is that we have this thing called a bridge device, and it kind of goes over your ear. Kind of looks like the old Bluetooth headsets. It's about that size, and there's like one little puncture spot. And what that does is it sends electrical signals that interrupt the signals from your brain to your body, telling it it's withdrawing. So like people like be shaky and stuff like that. And after they're wearing that device, like they're calmed down quite a bit. Some of them are still like, oh, I still feel bad. But like if you're watching it happen, you'll notice like their symptoms reduce quite a bit. I've seen videos on YouTube of people putting on these devices and wearing them. And like after 30 minutes, some of these people are like, I'm ready to go have lunch. They're not swearing. They're not irritable anymore. They just look like way happier. And that device has been out for quite a while. And really you don't hear about it, And a lot of people actually use that as a standalone treatment. They're not going to have the repair of your neural pathways or your receptors. And you still may have the cravings afterwards. So, but it's a great tool in combination with the NAD. So there's stuff that's out there people just don't use, and we offer that too.
Right. That's one of the reasons that we interview people like yourself, so we can get the word out, spread the word. Jan and I are both pharmacists, and I haven't heard of that device before. I don't know about you, Janet. So it's nice to hear about these things that are an alternative to drug treatment.
Yeah, I was really amazed. But yeah, the goal is always to get off the medication completely. And, we just wish people the best. I'm pretty passionate about helping people myself. So
what is New Life Recovery doing to get the word out?
It started out word of mouth, and, we joined like Chamber of Commerce, stuff like this. We're trying to get a little bit more up to speed on our marketing on the internet.
You guys do have a Facebook page? How can we stream their Facebook page? You guys have a Facebook page, correct?
Yes, we have a Facebook and an Instagram right now.
Is that one of the best ways to get a hold of you, your Facebook page?
Yeah, just that. Our website has a lot of good information on it too. Our website goes into more detail about what we offer and how the process works. These are just some posts we've put on our Instagram, and
Okay, and then let's talk about costs and insurance pricing. So what is the cost for NAD? And you mentioned insurance sometimes covers it?
Yeah, so right now we take Medicare. Unfortunately, we don't take Medicaid. We take Primera, Blue Cross, we take Regents. We're in the process, I think, of credentialing with Cigna. And then also we can accept VA insurance for our veterans, but they have to get a referral, so it's kind of up to the doctor that they're seeing through the VA. So,
and then, so what are the overall costs if someone is paying for this out of pocket and their insurance doesn't cover it?
So the NAD runs about $1,300 a day.
Okay, and
it could add up fast. It's a little spendy. The way I look at it is, a lot of people spend a lot more missing work for these doctor's appointments for Suboxone, their other medications. That stuff adds up. And also a lot of the other places I looked around, their NAD is about half the amount of NAD, and they generally charge $750 to $1,000 a day. So this stuff's really good quality with the amino acids, and the whole process is fairly enjoyable.
Well, and when you think about them getting off drugs over the long term, it's really a low price to pay.
They get their lives back, their families.
Right.
They just get to enjoy themselves.
And they're not buying drugs anymore.
Huge.
So, well, Vince, as we wind this podcast up, what are some parting words you'd like to say about a New Life Recovery?
Actually, there's one more service that I'd like to mention, if you don't mind.
Please do.
It's called neurofeedback. A lot of people have heard of biofeedback.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar for that. It's just for your brain. And a lot of people, even with the brain repair, like your neural pathways and everything's all repaired, but you have 5 brain waves. You have your alpha, theta, beta, gamma, and delta. And like, for instance, your alpha and theta, they're supposed to be like in sync with each other. One's high, the other one's low, and just like an AC current. They just, they're in sync. Anyways.
I can tell you're an electrician.
Yeah. That's what I pictured when I said it. But a lot of times, though, after doing stuff like this, you're on a substance for a while, like your alpha might be way high, and the other one's, going like in a regular, the way it's supposed to work anyway. Sorry. But what happens is with neurofeedback, you have like a little electrode here and one here, and then you have like a neutral and a ground. And it's hooked up to a computer, and that computer is also hooked up to a TV. So we can actually see where your alpha and theta waves are. So like the treatment, basically you're watching a TV screen, and when your brain's in the wrong frequency, the screen goes kind of dim. You can still see it, but it's not the normal picture. When your brain's acting the way it's supposed to act, like a normal brain, a healthy functioning brain, the picture goes back to like a clear picture. And what that does is it rewards your brain with normalcy to kind of train it to be in that target frequency. So we also do that. It's pretty helpful. And I guess a lot of places use that for addiction stuff too. We use it just overall health, and it seems to work pretty good.
And what about, speaking of other services, what about as far as counseling and stuff goes? Do you guys have support that way?
I'd consider us more like a medical detox as far as the detox process. And we usually refer out, or if people already have their own counseling schedule already kind of set up, we're always willing to help them find someone. We just don't offer it in-house right now.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for being on today, Vince. You've definitely helped us realize our goal at Health Solutions, which is to educate and empower individuals to take charge of their own health. So thank you so much for being on today, Vince.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And listeners and viewers, thank you for watching. Tune in Thursday to our midweek podcast. We will have Dr. Michael Turner back on our podcast, and he will be talking about do not let get you down, and he means that with erectile dysfunction. So he is an expert in hormones and men's health. You do not want to miss out. Thursday, midweek podcast, 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tune in. Thank you, listeners and viewers, for listening to Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham. Thank you.